Young children, in the last few classes we have been seeing about reflection at spherical surfaces, refraction, total internal reflection. I had sent you a few links regarding the applications of total internal reflection. Please see those videos and try to understand the concept and read the concept from the textbook. All these applications are very important as far as the board exams are concerned. Now next we'll go to the next phenomena, that is refraction at spherical surfaces. A spherical refracting surface is a part of a sphere made up of transparent refracting material. It is of two types. One is convex spherical refracting surface and concave spherical refracting surface. This is a convex spherical refracting surface which is a part of a sphere. The center we know is the pole. The center of the sphere is center of curvature, and PC is the radius of curvature, which is positive for a convex spherical refracting surface. Here the convex surface faces the rarer medium. This is a concave spherical refracting surface. Here the concave surface faces the rarer medium. Since it is a part of a sphere, when we complete the sphere, this will be the center of curvature. This is the pole, and this distance is radius of curvature, which is negative for a concave spherical refracting surface. Now let us see an expression for the refraction at convex spherical refracting surface. Now let us consider a convex spherical refracting surface which separates two medium. This is a rarer medium of refractive index mu1, and this is a denser medium of refractive index mu2. Whenever the medium is denser, just to differentiate it from the rarer, we drop two lines over here to show that the denser medium is continuous. Now this is the pole, and a line passing through this will be the center of curvature. This is the center of curvature. The sign conventions we use here is the same as that we used in reflection. Here we consider a point object over here. So the assumptions made here are the objects under consideration is always a point object. The aperture of the spherical refracting surface is very small. The angles I and R are very small, so that sin I is approximated to I and sin R is approximated to R. All these are the assumptions made here. Now, a ray of light from this point object O is incident along OA, and it reaches the point A on the surface. Immediately it gets refracted, and it gets refracted along AI. Another ray of light from O is incident normally on the surface, and it goes without any deviation. The two refracted rays meet at the point I. I is the real image of O. We know that the center of curvature is to the right. At the point of incidence, we have to drop a normal which passes through the center of curvature. So this is C. This is the normal drawn at the point of incidence. We consider, we drop a normal from A to this point and mark its foot by M. This is P. Now, this is the incident ray and this is the normal. So this is the angle of incidence. This is the refracted ray and this is the normal. So this is the angle of refraction. Let us also consider angle AOM to be alpha, AIM to be beta, ACM to be gamma. This we are considering to simplify our equations. Now consider triangle AOC and AIC. In triangle AOC, I is the exterior angle, the interior opposite angles are gamma and alpha. So I write I is equal to alpha plus gamma. Similarly, in the triangle AIC, gamma is the exterior angle, these two are the interior opposite angles, and I write gamma is equal to R plus beta, or gamma minus beta equal to R. Now we apply Snell's law at the point of incidence. That is mu1 sin I equal to mu2 sin R. Since angles I and R are very small, sin I is taken as I, sin R is taken as R, and I write mu1 into I is equal to mu2 into R. Now let us substitute for I and R from the above equations. We get mu1 into alpha plus gamma equal to mu2 into gamma minus beta. Now again we consider the angles alpha, beta, gamma to be very small. Therefore we find out what is theta equal to L by R. That is, angle is equal to arc by radius. So we get alpha to be AM by MO. Since the aperture is small, alpha equal to AM by PO. So similarly, gamma is AM by PC and beta is AM by PI. Now let us substitute for all this in the above equation. We get mu1 into alpha plus gamma. So what is alpha? AM by PO plus gamma plus AM by PC equal to mu2 into gamma minus beta. Gamma is AM by PC minus AM by PI. AM by PI. Now let us apply sign conventions for PO, PC and PI. PO is the object distance, and since it is to the left, it is negative U. PI is the image distance, it is to the right, so it is V. PC is the radius of curvature and it is to the right, so it is R. Now this AM can be taken outside and it will get cancelled. So the remaining is P1 into 1 by minus U plus 1 by R equal to mu2 into 1 by R minus 1 by V. When we solve this, we get minus mu1 by U plus mu1 by R equal to mu2 by R minus mu2 by V, or minus mu1 by U plus mu2 by V equal to mu2 by R minus mu1 by R, or we write it as minus mu1 by U plus mu2 by V equal to mu2 minus mu1 by R. This is the relation between refractive index, radius of curvature, the object distance and image distance for a spherical convex refracting surface.